What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another late night in the BrewLab with me, Lone Fox, your brewmaster-in-chief. And tonight in the BrewLab, I'm continuing on this little adventure to identify, at least as far as I'm concerned, which are the best cards in the set. I'm going for a top 5 because, it's one per rarity. Sorry, mythic, rare, common, uncommon, top 4. But there's often 5 because I have like an honorable mention or 2 sometimes. And we're following the Wooburg acronym. So we've just done the color white, and now I'm going to be looking at the color blue. And surprisingly enough, because those of you who've been following me for quite some time, you will know I'm not a huge fan of the color blue in general, but there's some really nice ones this time around, and it was a lot harder than I initially thought it would be when I was recording this video to identify just one per rarity. Like, this color has some really nice kind of glue cards, cantrippy stuff. Just nice. It's not just your usual blue stuff that makes me vomit, like counter spells that good and whatnot, but just good, like nice janky combo potential looking things. And we're gonna start off with the mythic, as I always do, and I did mention this in the white video. The mythics, there's only going to be 3 per color, really, because there's an overlord, a room, and one other card that it's usually a creature that is in that rarity. So whereas I had a little bit more trouble finding the one I preferred the most from white, the blue was actually pretty easy. I think without a shadow of a doubt it's going to go to Mirror Room and Fractured Realm on the unlocked side, or the more expensive side. So this is a 3-mana copy thing, right? Like, we've had a lot of these in the past. I'm thinking of Glasspool Mimic kind of vibes. So when you unlock this door, create a token that's a copy of a target creature you control, except it's a reflection in addition to its other types. I think this opens up some crazy potential. I've been tinkering with a deck that plays the Chrome Host Seed Shark in Azorius. It may end up being Azorius, let's see. Where you play the Chrome Host Seed Shark. You know, it's the one from March of the Machine, I believe it is, that makes incubator tokens based on the cost of the non-creature spell you cast. So you play your Chrome Host Seed Shark, then you play your Mirror Room. This might even just end up being like mono blue, right? You copy the shark. Not only will it trigger the first shark you played, now you've got 2 of them. Gets the little juices whirling, doesn't it? Because we also have 3 steps ahead that can copy that copy, and on and on and on. And I think in Azorius, which is where I'm trying to go with this, you can also play Caretaker's Talent, which can then, for 1 level, you level it up to level 2, and you can copy a token. So then you copy the token shark you just made. We just make this crazy army of sharks that all trigger whenever you cast your counter spells and removal to protect said sharks. Of course, there's always that typical sort of 3-drop rare problem that they all experience, like your glissers, your whatever, but there's so many of them in standard right now where you just play out your 3-drop. It doesn't do anything. You close your eyes, hope they don't have immediately some way of dealing with it. But then if it survives, now I have mana to protect it, and things start to get crazy. So I can imagine like a mono blue or Azorius, Chrome Host Seed Shark. There's the new crab that taps creatures down with flash. There's the Tolarian Terror. There's the new 3-mana thing that puts like flood counters on your lands. Like, we've seen a little bit of that blue deck coming back, the Haughty Djinn. Even just copying Haughty Djinn with this would be insane. Because then, later on in the game, yes, it's very expensive, but for the triggered ability of a permanent you control, that ability triggers an additional time. So you can imagine, of course, this is like Winmore, Christmas, La La Land scenario, but you've done all of these copying of your Chrome Host Seed Sharks, and now you've transformed it into you unlock into Fractured Realm. Now, whenever you cast an instant or any non-creature spell, you'll be getting additional triggers on each one of those sharks. It's definitely a jank deck, but it's definitely one I'm going to build. So this for sure, as far as I'm concerned, takes the cake as far as mythic for the blue color from Duskmourn, which brings us to the rare. And here again, I had some difficulty picking one, but I ended up going with the Silent Hall Creeper. There's also that crazy thing that mills. There's some mad blue rares in the set, like I said in the beginning of this video, but I think this one just tickles everything that I want tickling in my kind of brewing style, especially for a blue creature. It's been a while since we've had something quite as nice as this. So first of all, it can't be blocked. Yes, it's a 2-mana 1/1, but important to note, it is an enchantment creature, so it'll trigger all of your eerie stuff. And then, because it can't be blocked, it's going to get in for that combat damage, and then you get this plethora of choices. Again, maybe goes into the deck I just was talking about. Well, that would be where the third mode comes in, but the first one puts 2+1/+1 counters on it. So, turn 3, there's things getting in unless it gets immediately dealt with, and you're going to be putting an additional 2 counters on it. That's probably the first one you're going to pick, because it just makes it harder to remove in future turns and whatnot. But the rest of the modes are just so nice and versatile. Draw a card. We love drawing cards. That's the best thing you can do in Magic, is draw cards, so yes please. And then the Silent Hall Keeper becomes a copy of another target creature you control. It doesn't say until the end of turn, and it just becomes a copy. So maybe you want to first do some leveling up, get some points on it, draw some cards, whatever, and then you have this versatility of like, well, at some point, if I want, boop, it becomes a copy. And then all the shenanigans that can unlock for you, just amazing. I really like this card. The potential for some janky, fun build-arounds. That's definitely one of the key ways in which I evaluate my Magic cards. It's like, yes, I also try to find cards that I think are going to be really good in the meta, that are worth your precious wild cards, but at the very top of my evaluation checklist is it fun? Does it do what I want my Magic cards to do? And this just does so much, and I think it's going to be fairly good. Can't wait to see into which deck it'll go best, but yeah, I really think this is a bit of a doozy. So that's my for sure pick as far as best rare in blue of the set. And now we get to the uncommons and commons, and that's where things get a little bit more complicated. Like I said, this video has more than one of each, so we're going to start off with the uncommon. My son. Beg your pardon. Brew dad mode, always engaged. There's always some kiddos running about the house. But as far as uncommons, ooh, I had some choices here. There was some real good ones, but I ended up just going on the Paranormal Analyst because it's a 2-mana 1/3, and again, these Analyst cards. It's similar to the green one we have for the lands decks. Like, they end up always being a little bit better than you initially think they are. This just seems pretty unassuming at first, but if you're playing specifically a Manifest Dread deck, whenever you Manifest Dread, put a card from you put into your graveyard this way into your hand. So this one's very situational. If the Manifest Dread deck is to be any good, and one of the rares I omitted from putting into this is, I'm sorry, I think it's the Mythic. It's like a 3-mana thing, but you have to exile stuff from your yard to play it, so it will never come into play on turn 3 unless you're reanimating it somehow, I don't know what, but those two together, I think it might end up being insanely good. And of course, there'll be decks where you're using the Manifest Dread to fill your graveyard so that you're helping with the Delirium mechanic, where you might want the stuff to stay in your graveyard, and then you probably won't play this card. But generally speaking, you'd rather draw the card than put it into your graveyard, generally speaking. And this just, you're not only going to be manifesting Dread, but you'll also be putting one of the two cards, because it's Manifest Dread is, look at the top two cards, oh no, you draw two cards, put one in your graveyard, one gets turned into a 2/2 token, that then you can flip for its actual cost. This is like just going to be putting cards in your hand, man, and it's always going to be the one that you want to go into your hand. So, you know, say you mill to, I'm going to have to reread one of the Manifest Dread cards. I can't remember if it's mill to, or look at the top two, make one into a 2/2, and put the other one into the graveyard. Which, so, you know, say you look at the top two, and one's a creature and one's a spell, and maybe one of the spells is something that actually helps you to flip manifested cards on the cheap or whatever. You'd obviously rather Manifest Dread the creature and not the spell, because you can't, then at that point, that thing, you can never flip it upside into the creature. It's always just going to be the 2/2 little thing you made. Then, of course, you'd rather the creature gets manifested, and so then you'll put the spell into your hand. And I think that's like why they designed this card. It's going to be, again, if that deck is good, this will be a 4 of in it. That's what I'm going to say. Up next, as far as commons, this was my honorable mention. There's two commons here. The cheap kind of blue removal spell of the set. This one in particular is very nice. We had something similar with a one that turned your creatures into legitimate business people or something from the Kamigawa. No, New Capenna. That still made a 1/1. This makes an 0/2. They can't even attack with the thing anymore. Yes, they can block. Not only that, it's an enchantment, so you trigger all your eerie stuff. Not only that, if the aforementioned Manifest Dread deck is any good, then you put this on the opponent's Manifest Dreaded stuff. Now they can't be turned face up. And that, of course, works also with the disguise mechanic and any sort of other thing like that we have in the set. We've even still got that something Cryptic Scapegoat or something with the 3-mana artifact that we had. Oh my god, I can't remember the set. I'm drawing a blank. Where you play it and then it makes a 2/2 disguise thing. Yeah, it's from Murders of Karl of Mana, and then it attaches itself to it, and then you can return it to your hand. You know the one I mean. Would work the same with that. So again, with the disguise things, at least as far as standard is concerned, that's what we've got that can be down and flipped up. So it also works with older sets. It's good whether you have to deal with that type of a deck or not. So, you know, it doesn't even necessarily just need to be a sideboard piece for blue decks that are trying to survive against the Manifest Dread decks, if there's any good ones. Of course, in Limited, I don't really know. I'm terrible at Limited. You guys know that. So I always just evaluate these from a standard point of view. And I think this is just a nice little piece of blue removal. Of course, like anything that you hit with this can then be cut down, because you're reducing its toughness to cut down range. Loses all abilities. Put this on a Sheoldred, you're going to be super happy. I think it's just a really nice little blue common. Cheap, triggers all your prowess, triggers all your eerie, you know, the list goes on. But this is the honorable mention. As far as blue commons, for me, the very top one is going to have to be Enter the Enigma. And this is because I've been dying for these freaking decks that we keep running into every single day on the ladder, which are mostly have turned into essentially, like, the best one is definitely the Rakdos one. There's some people playing the Gruul one, where it's like prowess X deck, right? You've got all your prowess guys, your little mice creatures, and then you fire off cheap spells that get them bigger and do stuff. This is going to be finally a good piece for the red-blue variants of that deck, which I prefer from a gameplay standpoint. I'd much rather there be a good Izzet prowess deck, and this Otter thing hasn't really done it for me. And I've tried putting in a few Otters and some of the cool Otter cards, and it just never won anywhere near as much as just the plain red one, or the Boros one, or the Gruul one. I think finally with cards like this, If only it was instant speed, of course, but regardless, we have an extra little bit for the Is It variant. The card can't be blocked is just amazing, right? There'll be those situations where you don't have the slick shot show off, or you've got the show off but the opponent has a flyer, or the opponent has Gissa down with first strike and death touch and you can't get around it, and all you need to do is just get in for one more attack. No. The creature you target with this, no, it can't be blocked. Not only that, you also get to draw a card and find your Monstrous Rage or whatever the next thing is going to be that you need. So reminding me also of this Might of the Meek, kind of like these just cheap 1-mana things that does a nice little thing and draws you an extra card. It's going to be fantastic. I think, the beauty of making videos like this is that in a few weeks' time I'm going to be able to go, look, remember, I told you guys. So this is my pick for the best blue common in the set. And that is going to be it for this one, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments, what do you think? Which is your favorite of the set in each of these colors? That's why I also do these videos. Let's start a conversation. Come join us in the Discord community. Let's discuss. Let's start doing some early theory brewing for early access. I need your help. Let me know. But that is going to be it for this one. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one, which is going to be white, blue, black. Can't wait. See you there. Peace, y'all.